Hello, and welcome to another team building video. This time around, I'll be sharing Taichi teams to farm the Villain Title Challenge, aka UN Rush. Unlike Omnimon teams, these Taichi teams are less flexible. These are the ideal units for this farming team, but when it comes to the last sub, a lot of people might not have this Gonghwa Another Story BGM unit since it was very hard to justify rolling in that late rerun that we had last month. These teams are heavily inspired by some JP clears, but I try to make them as NA and budget friendly as possible. And again, these don't have a lot of room for substitutions, especially if you want to clear in under 30 minutes. For this video, I'll assume that you don't have them, so I'll share some possible replacements. But why would you want to farm this dungeon? For rank XP, this dungeon gives 1 billion experience. With 2 Taichis as leaders, this becomes 1.44 billion XP. If you watch one of your 2 ads to double your rank XP, this becomes 2.88 billion XP. And if you have Path Pass, this jumps to a little over 3 billion experience. This dungeon requires more work than swiping ASR1 for example, but if you make one of these teams, you'll be able to get an easy clear in less than 30 minutes. NA has already announced that we'll have a rank Memorial Egg Machine reset sometime soon, so if you can make any of these teams, you'll reach rank 1k or 1100 in no time, if you haven't done so already. Before I get into the details, please remember to like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. Okay, when it comes to replacements to Rosary and Lucerita, that last sub should be a unit with a low cooldown active skill that is able to close the orb generation loop with your Taichis and Omnimons. Leomon is a Digimon unit that could serve for this role, but unless you want to deal with less than 3 seconds of move time for some of these floors, I would look for a replacement that also gives a time buff on top of closing the loop. An example is Miriam. Like Rosary and Lucerita, she is from the Gonghwa Another Story collab, but this unit is exchangeable and was available for our Gonghwa Another Story debut. So if you were active back then, you might have a copy already. She won't give you the fire and light orbs, but Miriam will give you a time buff and a roulette from which you can fish out the necessary orbs to activate your leader skill. While Miriam is more accessible than that BGM unit, you may have skipped this exchange since there wasn't much upside in exchanging for her this time around. A much more premium sub would be Ibo Taichi, but I have seen a lot of people struggle to even get a single copy. If you were lucky enough to get 2 or more Taichis, then Ibo Taichi is probably the next best option to Rosary and Lucerita, since Taichi can deal a pretty decent amount of damage if you put a Levitate equip on him. For this video, I'll focus on reliability, speed, and accessibility, so I'm going to go with Miriam since she's well balanced on those criteria. If you played with 4-turn cooldown systems before, then you know that you can close the orb generation loop with 1 unit on a 2-turn cooldown and 2 units on a 4-turn cooldown. It's easy to picture how to loop 2 Taichis with a Miriam or a Leomon since these 2 units are on a 2-turn cooldown, but now we have added 2 Omnimons into the mix. So we are not just constricted to 2-turn cooldown units, and we can now close the loop with someone on a 3-turn cooldown, such as Ibo Taichi. Someone like Wood Charmy Kitty, Ibo Hisaka, the Pad Island Heartspan, Ibo Benibana, and Eiten Gudetama could also qualify as replacements for Rosary and Lucerita. Just remember that this unit should preferably have a fire or light attribute to benefit from Taichi's leader skill's HP buff, be non-transforming, or not have an Evo active skill, as you will need this unit to hold a haste equip. I think one exception is Ultraman Rising. His Evo active skill gives a 3-turn haste and then becomes a roulette and time buffing active skill. These are the qualities you could work with on the 3rd floor and beyond, but there's still a chance of auto-losing. I'll get more on why later when talking about the equips on the last sub. I cleared the title using Miriam, Rosary and Lucerita, and Ibo Taichi as my last subs, and I comfortably cleared in less than 26 minutes. But if you're faster, you could approach the 22-minute mark with the same teams. All of these subs worked, but differ a bit in some parts. Miriam liked damage that the other units had if they happen to have Steed's equip on. Floor 9 goes a bit differently if you have a 3-turn cooldown unit like Ibo Taichi on the last slot, as with him, you won't be able to use his active skill right away on that floor. Ibo Taichi also has the issue of not being able to remove locks, so on one shoe, things could get a bit dicey. And with Rosary and Lucerita, you might have to time the move time buffing active skill stage with the boss's super resolve if you want to counter the time debuff ASAP. Overall, I prefer running Rosary and Lucerita with Steed's equip, as timing the active skill is not all that difficult, and it's also something that you could power through. I'm sure you can optimize these teams by calculating your exact damage and timing certain skills on some floors. But I didn't do that, and at times chose not to use my last sub's active skill if I had enough orbs on the board to activate my leader skill. Past floor 10, the dungeon is less mechanical. You don't have to worry about having certain skills up for certain floors, for the most part, and it's very hard to die if you are correctly cycling your orb generators and activating your leader skill. To meet damage and HP thresholds, the free Omnimon will not really cut it for this team. Although I did manage to get this clear with the free Omnimon, I would not recommend the team since these require luck on 2 floors. With more planning, that clear with the free Omnimon could be a little more consistent, but I stress on having 2 Rem Omnimons in the team in order to deal more damage, as sometimes you're not gonna be able to kill specific floors with the low damage from the free Omni. I will still share a few clips and notes from this clear if you want to try it out, but again, I will be mainly focusing on the other team with Miriam and 2 Rem Omnis. The fastest teams in JP can clear the Billion Title Challenge in under 15 minutes, but there is some RNG involved, and the top 3 teams use some JP exclusive equips. In NA, I doubt it's possible to get clears that are that fast without boost equip, but some people might be able to get under the 18-minute mark since this team is possible in NA. The team is very similar to the ones I've been showing so far, but exchanges the last sub with another Omnimon. With 3 of these and 2 ties, you can still close the orb generation loop, but piloting this team is a bit more stressful since at times you will need to match your board with less than 3 seconds of move time. The goal of this video is to make a consistent farming team, so I will not be looking at the speedrunning team, nor ones with a unit like Leomon who don't give you a time buff. I have links in the description to JP clears if you're interested. Again, I'll be working with this team, and you can skip to here if you would like to go into the gameplay. But if you want to know about possible equip replacements, I will talk about that now. The most important equips are those on your Omnimons and on Miriam. To transform Taichi on floor 1, you will need 39 effective skill boost, and you can get there with the combination of haste and delay equips. The first Omnimon preferably wants a haste equip, especially something that adds bulk and OEs. The best option for this is Gyoko's Spot, but something like Suzaku's, Zenitsu's, Ultraman and Ultra 7's, and even Hakuro's and Deadpool's equips could work. The second Omnimon needs at least a 3-turn delay equip that also gives bulk and OEs, and that equip's active skill must also come back up in time for floor 6. In addition, this delay equip should also have a damage awakening to help the second Omnimon pump out more damage. This will be important to one-hit KO some floors. You have to get to 39 effective skill boosts without using Miriam's equip though, so that's also an important thing to keep in mind. On Miriam, you will need at least a 3-turn haste equip that preferably also gives you a 7x6 board. An auto heal effect is also nice, but not necessary. Steed's, Muichiro's, New Year Menuit, Namiel's, and Rin's equips all qualify. But if you don't have any equips that give you a 7x6 board, you could risk it and only run a 3-turn haste. You will have to gamble on getting a natural activatable board, but at least this happens early in the dungeon. I will be using Rin's equip, who you might have laying around since we got a free copy during the Hatsune Miku Super Catfest. I'll also show a clip of me doing the dungeon with Asget's equip. That one doesn't expand the board, but those bulk and resist awakenings make team building a bit easier, and if you have this and nothing better, it might be worth the gamble on floor 3, which is where you'll need the 3-turn haste. If you are running Evo Taichi, then obviously the better choice would be Steed's equip, since this one has a Levitate Awakening, but these are pretty well units, so I'll be going with the more budget option. The rest of the equips on the leader Taichis and Hikari just need to provide enough bulk for you to tank the boss's 10 million hit, and these preferably also should give a cross or blind resist awakenings along with a few OEs. The cross helps deal with one-shows 10 turns of sticky blind, but you could power through them and not include a cross. The blind resist is also not necessary if you're comfortable dealing with a few blind orbs here and there. I guess the OEs are also not necessary, but these are very useful against negative orbs. Most of your heal orbs could end up being negative and thus not allow you to heal, so it's better to be safe and include at least 2 OEs of each attribute. Your helper Taichi should have an equip with the damage awakening, since this one will be running the attribute Absorption Void Latent to deal with 2 floors where you'll need to counter that mechanic. So you have to ensure that you deal enough damage to kill every enemy. A great option for this is Halloween Kyora's equip, who also gives you a skill boost, 2 team HPs, and a cloud resist, which like the blind resist is not necessary, but it's nice to have. I will run Isuna's equip on my Taichi. I wanted the 3 team HPs and the Wood OEs, but something like Halloween Xerox, Idas, and Summer Runes equips could work. I mainly chose Isuna because her equip has a TPA awakening, but honestly, you don't need a damage awakening on your leader Taichi. A very common equip to run on your Taichi for this dungeon is Yuita's equip, which gives you a cross, blind resist, and a light resist awakening, which altogether give you a bit more flexibility when it comes to choosing the rest of your equips. On Hikari, I chose to have Melika and Kalka's conditional clear equip, since I needed more bulk, skill boost, and AoEs. This team has 27 skill boosts and 1 turn of haste from Hikari's transformation active skill. The Omnimon's equips bring 7 effective skill boosts, so that brings the total to 35 effective skill boosts. Both Omnimons and Miriam all have skill boosts super awakenings, but I just need 4 more to get to 39. The first Omnimon actually wants the TPA super awakening, since his damage will be important to kill specific floors. Therefore, the other Omnimon and Miriam will take the skill boost super awakening to finally bring me up to 39 effective skill boosts. The skill boost requirement is met, but even now, we don't have enough bulk to take the 10 million hit from the boss. This is manageable with enough light resist latents. With these equips, we'll need at least 8 light resist plus latents, and since this dungeon has a couple of up to 4 turn skill delays, I'll also want to put 4 SDRs on my orb generators so I don't die from being unable to match my leader skill damage reduction. Thankfully, I have enough latent slots to make all of this work out. One other thing to worry about will be your HP when going from floor 4 to floor 6. If you're using Miriam, or depending on where Ibo Taichi's roulette is, you won't be able to heal on floor 5 and could die to floor 6 preemptive since we're gonna be one-shotting floor 5. In that floor, there's a 500% light attribute gravity preemptive, and floor 6 has a 1.55 million water attribute preemptive hit. With this specific team, you don't have to worry about floor 5 and 6 as long as you fully heal leaving floor 4. If you have made changes to my team, make sure you can handle those floors back to back. Otherwise, you might have to deal with floor 4 without buffing your move time, so that you can guarantee healing on floor 5 with Miriam's or Taichi's roulette. If you're running Rosary and Lucerita, you don't have to worry about this, because you would use their first stage active skill on floor 4 to get rid of the time debuff, and then use the second stage active skill on floor 5 to fix the board shrink. For the light gravity preemptive, remember that resist plus latents reduce damage by 2.5%, and that light resist awakenings reduce damage by 7% each. The damage reduction from your leader skill, latents, and resist awakenings is not additive, it's multiplicative. For example, let's say that your leaders reduce damage by 90% and you have 1 latent resist plus and 1 resist awakening that matches the attribute of the attacking enemy. The damage is reduced by 90% from your leader skills, and then it's reduced by however many latents or resist awakenings you have in your team. Back to the example, we would reduce damage by 9.5%. So from the 10% of damage that you take after being reduced by your leader skills, you would then take 90.5% of that damage. Effectively, in this specific case, you will be getting 90.95% damage reduction. That aside, this is my team for this dungeon, but here are other variations that can also clear this specific dungeon. If you're missing equips, maybe these other clears can give you inspiration as to which equips to use. There are still many other options out there. If you found any interesting combinations, let me know in the comments below. Again, do note that the teams that are using Askek's equip gamble on getting a natural activatable board on floor 3, so don't use this equip if you want consistency, or maybe put this on your leader Taichi or on Hikari, since these are pretty good equips for this dungeon. Now let me get into the gameplay. All of the teams that I showed function almost identically, so you're not missing much by me only focusing on one team. I'm just trying to focus on the one that I consider the most budget. If you want real low budget, I will also share a few snippets of my team with the free Omnimon and point out its shortcomings, which, with some luck, you could actually overcome. Okay, on floor 1, you use your Omnimon's delay equip, followed by the charges from the other Omnimon's equip and Hikari's transformation active skill. Then, you 1C until you can transform your leader Taichi, and 1C again until the other one comes up. I realized this as I was almost done with the video, but you can afford to use Hikari's active skill as soon as it comes up. Her attack buff will probably help you out to sweep the floor if any of the enemies are water attribute. When you transform the helper Taichi, also use the first Omnimon's first stage active skill, as you will need the Pierce effect and also the orb generation from his second stage active skill on the next turn. Hopefully, at most only one of the enemies is water attribute. If there is one, aim for it. Otherwise, auto-targeting might screw you over and leave that one alive. Unfortunately, if two enemies are water attribute, you might not be able to kill them without making a light mass attack on top of a light, fire, and water TPA. Omnimon's second stage active skill might not be too kind with its orb generation distribution, so two water enemies on the first floor is most likely an auto lose. You could maybe finish them off with a natural board on the next turn, but I wouldn't count on it. On floor 2, you pop your leader Taichi and bring down Fagan to 50%. After, you see carry, your 3-turn haste, and then your leader Taichi again, as we are saving the helper Tai for the next floor that has an attribute absorption shield. Ideally, you want your haste equipped to also expand the board so that you have enough space to save some orbs for the next turn. You could gamble with a 3-turn haste equip that doesn't expand your board, but obviously this might be an auto lose if you don't have an activatable board on the next floor. A multi-turn auto heal effect on that 3-turn haste equip would be very helpful here, and on the next floor, since in the second worst case scenario, you won't have any heal orbs from a natural board on the next floor. The worst case scenario in floor 3 is that you don't have a fire and light combo from a natural board, or maybe you had them but then Skyfall took them away. Hopefully your orbs are safe and you can just activate your leader skill damage reduction for the first turn. On the second turn, use Omnimon A's first stage active skill and your helper Taichi to kill this floor. As a reminder, the helper Taichi needs to have the attribute absorption void latent to be able to kill here. On floor 4, Zeus gives roulettes and a time debuff. If you're using Leomon, a third Omnimon, or some other low cooldown orb generator, you might have to deal with the time debuff. But with Miriam, Grocery and Lucerita, or with Evo Taichi, you can fix the time debuff. To kill Zeus, just use Omnimon A's second stage active skill and match your TPAs. Floor 5 has a 500% light gravity attack and a 4-turn board shrink as preemptive. Here, just use your leader Taichi's active skill and he carry, even if you don't need the unmatchable recovery, because the attack buff might matter if you're running the free Omni and or a weak orb generator like Miriam. If you did your math correctly, you'll have enough HP to survive the next floor's preemptive. Floor 6 is delayable, and you can take advantage of that. Use your Omnimon Beast equip again, and stall 3 turns to get rid of the board shrink and HP debuffs. Before Noah attacks, use Omnimon A's first stage active skill to get the piercing effect and your helper Taichi to kill. I use my leader here, but it doesn't really matter. It's better if you use the helper Taichi, since that will mean less stalling on floor 9. With the free Omnimon, you will fail the one-hit KO on Noah. Luckily, I had a natural board and managed to kill, but don't count on getting this. Try to get that second Rem Omnimon in your team. You can one-shot floor 7 thanks to Omnimon A's second stage active skill. Here, you can use your time buffing active skill from your last sub to get rid of that time debuff. This floor removes assists, but you don't have to recover them to kill here. If you do want to match an L here, make sure to also fit in at least a light and fire TPAs, because otherwise you won't be able to one-shot this floor. On floor 8, use Hikari, Omnimon and your leader Taichi to kill. You will have at least 9 light orbs on the board, and if you're running Miriam, you might find it easier here to fit a light TPA and an L without 2 roulettes on the board. On floor 9, you will need to stall at least 1 turn so that Omnimon A's active skill is up on floor 10. Again, I used the wrong Taichi on floor 6, so I have to stall a little bit more. Use your low cooldown orb generator if necessary, but I had activatable boards, so I didn't use Miriam here. You should kill this floor when you use your helper Taichi's active skill, as again, he takes care of the enemies that have an attribute absorption shield. Make sure that your leader Taichi and Omnimon's active skills will be up on floor 10, as you will need their cap breaks to bring Xerac down to Super Assault. If you are running the free Omnimon team, you won't deal enough damage unless all of your fire orbs are enhanced and you make at least 13 combos. To be safer, when running the free Omnimon team, use the Rem Omnimon's first stage active skill on the previous floor. That way, you have the second stage active skill for this floor, which will give you a bigger cap break and an attack boost that will guarantee that you bring Xerac down to 20%. You don't have to bring him down to Super Assault turn 1, but doing so saves you the trouble of timing he carries RCB boost, since Xerac's preemptive is a recovery void. At Resolve, Xerac will give you 2 puzzles where you can't make any combos twice. If you match any, he will execute you. From here on out, just keep cycling your ties, Omnimons, and the low cooldown orb generator if necessary. Keep in mind one-show's moves, as they will give you 10 turns of sticky blinds as a preemptive. At Super Assault, they will delay your helper tie for 2 turns, so you will have to stall at some point to get back in sync. If you don't have blind resist, this floor might be a bit tricky at Super Assault, since one show will turn some orbs into sticky blinds. Senchuga's Super Assault moveset is also something to pay attention to, as they will drastically reduce your recovery. For that, just time he carries active skill when going for that hit. And finally, Greg. He's not that scary. Just break all those shields and save Hikari's active skill for his Super Assault moveset, as he will make Lyropsor matchable for one turn, and we don't have a unit with the unmatchable recovery Layton. You could also try to time Miriam, Evo Taichi, or Rosary and Lucerita for the Super Assault moveset, since Greg has your move time for 5 turns. It's not as punishing as the previous time debuffs, so you could power through it. If you did your math correctly, you should survive the 10 million hit without a shield. Just recover from those debuffs, and now you're in the clear. Be careful in case you hit Greg into his execute zone. Apparently, if you get his HP low enough, he will walk and bind you for one turn and kill you on the next one. So if you want to be extra careful, charge up your Hikari again when you're getting close to the kill shot. And that's it. Enjoy your 1 billion rank XP. With dual Taichi's pre-transformation leader skills, this jumps to 1.44 billion XP, which you can then double with an ad. And if you have Path Pass, you get an extra 5% XP, which brings you to a little over 3 billion rank XP. Again, these Taichi teams are not too flexible, as they require somewhat specific subs and equips to make them work. So if you're lucky enough to have all the pieces, I would consider farming this dungeon for rank XP. It might be a bit annoying since you can't close the game due to it being a title challenge. This dungeon will be permanently added to technicals, but it only gives 100 million XP in this version, so there won't be much of an incentive other than getting one magic stone for the clear. A limited time dungeon version of UN Rush will soon be available, and that one does give out the base 1 billion XP. That LTD will only be available at specific times for only 2 hours and will only come around every 2 or 3 days. In version 21.9, we'll be able to buy access to some dungeons for a limited time. The usual price is 1 billion coins for 1 hour. If we follow what JP did, then Gonho will add the 1 billion XP version to the coin dungeon lineup to celebrate the version update, but this will only be available for a few days. Also, the price will be 10 billion coins for the same 1 hour of access. I am sharing these teams with that 1 hour time window in mind. If you can clear it in around 25 minutes, that means you can enter UN Rush at least 3 times in 1 hour, with enough time to watch your double XP ads. Hopefully this video helped you assemble your farming team, and if you already had one, let me know your comp and fastest clear time in the comments below. There is a faster and a friendly team I could share here that runs a third Omnimon as a sub, but I felt like consistency was more important for a team building video, and I believe that team doesn't have a 100% clear rate, especially if you can't match with less than 3 seconds of move time. If you care about speedrunning, you need at least 3 Omnimons to try this fastest title challenge. For SM5's fastest teams, Assuming we won't get Disney or GA Bunko and that we can't replace these equips in the fastest team, you will also want to have at least 3 Omnimons of your own to copy the second and third fastest teams, both of which are NA friendly once we get the Gung-Ho collab. You might even want to get 4 Omnimons if you like to self-pair. This is unrelated to this video, but I wanted to give a heads up since NA still has a few days left to roll in the Digimon realm. Okay, that does it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy or found the video helpful. Special thanks go out to Ages Number 1 and Awkward Panda, Breastfeeding Obama, Dark Silencers, Hella Derpy, and Nightcore94 for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.